Everyone, welcome to the Soccerish podcast, episode 2, season 2. Joining with me is Lori Lindsay, who I knew was going to beat me up about a referee decision that happened in the Vancouver game. So here I am. Lori, were you on that game? I wasn't even listening to it. I've just
No,
seen
no,
so
no, I
much
definitely
social media
wasn't.
on it.
I was in San Francisco with our good friend Chris Whittingham for
Yeah,
CBS for the record-breaking Oracle Park game, which was
yeah.
Bay FC versus Washington Spirit. And why it was record-breaking is because it had 40,000 plus fans there, which is an NWSL record last year. The record was set actually at Wrigley Field. It was Chicago Stars versus Bay FC. They took part in that game as well, and there was about 35,000. So, yeah, huge day. And also our good friends Danielle Slayton, Leslie Osborne, Brandy Chastain, Allie Wagner. They're all founders of that Bay FC team. So, just the work that they put in less than 2 seasons, really, to get that team up and running. It's one of the more recent expansion teams. So, yeah, super cool. Wonderful event to be a part of. Whitty and I had a wonderful time. But more specifically, I was not on that Vancouver call because I was in San Francisco. So,
So
but
we're going to
it
keep
is
everyone
the
in
penalty kick heard around the world, and we need to know your thoughts.
So we're gonna table the penalty kick real quick because I just want to make a quick comment as to that game. I mean, incredible. Everyone's like, "Hey, why is that such a big deal?" I'm gonna use a quote from Field of Dreams, right? Build it, they'll come. Which I know that's not the exact quote, right? I know that that's been a messed up one, but like, think about it. How ridiculously cool is that? That you put that in, that you promote it, you push it, and then you got fans. Now, the second question from just like a business hat is like, how do you activate those fans for like a regular, game, and they're coming out to every season game? But still a cool thing. That thing circulates, like you said, that including this penalty kick heard around the world. But that statistic is a statistic that goes around the world. And one of these days, just for women's sports winning last week is also rugby, right? Rugby World Cup going on, and the numbers that are going on that. And huge shout out. I know our producers are English, so they kicked our butt in rugby. Like, it was not a good weekend for me, man. Between Leeds getting destroyed, my own team losing, and I actually went to my first NFL game ever. The Buccaneers also lost in preseason. Just not good.
No,
Good
yeah,
weekend. But
let's see.
so let's just roll
Hold on,
into a
real quick. Let's
penalty.
just go back
Yeah.
to why that game and that record breaking was so important. One, just because I feel like it shows how far the women's game has grown. And obviously, you being involved in the Super League and adding another, just you're just seeing the growth all around. And I think that just highlighted because typically Bay FC plays in San Jose at PayPal Park. And so for them to be about an hour, 45 minutes or so, an hour north in San Francisco was just about them collecting and not collecting, but getting more fans, right? And getting more eyeballs on the product and the players and how wonderful the women's game is. So I just wanted to highlight that because it was just a wonderful day all around that was monumental for the women's game and just women's sport in general.
Yeah, it shows that appetite and demand is here. There's an appetite. There's a demand for
Exactly.
soccer. There's a demand for women's soccer in the United States, and thankfully that right leads to corporate partnerships. Just to be realistic, right? Everyone always demands, "Hey, we need this pay. We need these kinds of." At the end of the day, someone's got to pay for that, and that really comes through corporate partnerships and ticket sales. But when corporate partnerships come, when ticket sales come, right? It's like the cart before the horse. And when people see something like that, right? I know I talked to a corporate partner for our league in Thailand, Super League. Like, there's more than one group who wants to get involved, right? So it's like when there's categories that are exclusive, right? Then they can jump from one to the other. But at the end of the day, like that's just good for us all. So we all rise. I know we always say that all the time. This is going to come out after Women's Equality Day, which is on Tuesday of this week. So my daughter asked me, "What does that day mean?" And I told Quinn, it means the day that we don't have to rely. I can't say. I'm going to get hated on by men. Anyways, I said it's the day we were allowed to vote and have a voice and not have to have a guy sign off on a bank
Yeah.
account for us. So we've moved a long way.
I mean,
So celebration of
I
that.
think that sums it up perfectly.
Yeah, it is. I know. My other one was just a little cheeky. Contrary to popular belief, I don't hate guys. I promise you. But anyways, so yeah, we had that going. That was great. And like I said, I just love the rugby angle of it because it just shows it's desired around the world. All right. So we get into this penalty kick.
Yeah, and it's more just about everybody learning because as we
Yeah.
had the rant with Julie, right? It's like, what are the calls anymore? We don't know. So,
I like
um,
walked off. I'm like, woohoo! I'm not on MLS duty anymore after year one. So it
and
was
also
like
I
that was
think
going to be a long night if I was on studio with Bradley and everyone.
also there's an aspect too of one of the things that we referenced and talked about from the Euros in the Italy versus England game about the timing of the call too and when it came. It's a penalty kick decision that decides the game. So anyway, that's for the listeners that maybe may or may not know what's happening.
Yeah, and for you, if I can, I mean, because it's okay if you don't want to come out with a decision yet. Do you have a decision as to whether it's a penalty or not? Because, like I said, I've seen the soccer punditry go in so many different angles, and I know what the proper decision or the decision that's going to be supported. I already know what that answer is, but like,
Yeah.
what's your thoughts?
Okay, well, I'll just state like first, I've only seen like the social media clips, right? So
Mhm.
I haven't actually gone back and watched like a little bit of the game leading up to it, which I think is always important as well, just to give even more context about one, how the game's been refereed, what everything looks like leading up to it. And then, so I want to state that just given I've only seen and watched that probably 10 times, but it's been like the same angle, right?
Me too. That's the only
So,
thing I watched.
so to me, it doesn't look like a penalty. Um, it doesn't look like, yeah, it doesn't look like a penalty to me. So that was my first thought.
All right, so I'm going to keep everyone from suspense. Lori, you are correct. It is not a penalty kick. The preferred decision is not penalty, and it's definitely not rising to the level of a clear and obvious error for a recommendation from VAR. So back to context, and it was against Vancouver, right? I just remember it
Hmm.
as the Vancouver clip, right? So penalty given, decision on the field is no penalty. Recommendation down from VAR, meaning VAR thought it was a clear and obvious error for penalty. Referee still has the final decision, went to the monitor, took a look at it because it's subjective, took a look at it, and came out with penalty decision that obviously affected the outcome of the game. And that's where everyone's kind of debating. So roll that footage, Kev. I think that's what they say. Is kind of unfortunate. I don't know if we're allowed to
Yeah,
do that, or at
roll
least
it.
snapshots. Roll it. Because I think it is a good conversation because I saw so many pundits. I think Alexi Lala's had like that it's penalty, right? I think a lot of people say it's not penalty. I know some people on Apple thought it was a penalty kick. I know Sasha has no penalty, and I where because I always try to get football understanding right. Like Terry Henry gets on me all the time. He's like football understanding. You guys don't understand football understanding. So I like live in this weird world with I'm with the players and then I'm also with referees. So I see both angles of it. But I think where a lot of the pundits probably got tied up on this one is because they see an action and then they see the consequence, right? So did he get the back of his heel clipped? Maybe, right? Because I've only seen that one angle as well too. So there's debate as to how much, based on how he fell, it was very natural. So you kind of think he maybe did get clipped a little bit. But at the end of the day, the question is, it's not did he get clipped? It's like what action did the defender do that resulted in that penalty, right? That resulted in that. Did the defender take an extra like large step or something like that? Like was he allowed to be in that right in that position in that place?
Hmm.
He was naturally running. He didn't do anything extraordinary. Guys in front of him, whether he lets his leg live a little longer. We talk about that, right? Where there's a player who knows they're going to get a challenge and might leave their leg in a little longer to get that clip
Yeah.
to try to pull that foul. Here, it's not fully exactly the same because the guy's just running and looking forward and the defender's behind him, but at the same time the defender actually didn't move. So if you break down this clip and you
Yeah,
take a look at the defender's action, he didn't even like really naturally unmove. It wasn't like
for
he took
sure.
this major step. Like it was just, and I know people hate it, but sometimes we used to say some things like Paul Tamburino taught me this. Sometimes it's just unfortunate, right? It's just an unfortunate scenario. So that's not like anywhere in the laws of the game, mind you guys. That's just practical, common sense football understanding, right? As I always get yelled at. But yeah, no penalty. We want no penalty on this. We don't want a recommendation. I know that's so confusing because you're like you have two highly qualified, trained individuals on that game who did determine it was a clear and obvious area, did determine it was a penalty. I think if you go to the monitor as a referee, you still don't take that recommendation, right? You're like, that's nice. At the end of the day, a VAR is like an assistant referee. It's a recommendation. It's advice. Referee still has the final decision. So,
Wait, can I just intervene
oh,
right there? Because that's
yeah.
where I think is really interesting. Is I think fair that we're all debating on a lot of the things that you just said, right? Which is like the attackers falling in a natural position. Then is the defender, does he lose any sort of stride because it does it look like he's made contact, right? And So having all those questions, but to me, when you're having all of those conversations, then it's not clear and obvious. So one, it's
Mm,
brought to the monitor, and then two, he overturns essentially his original call
yep.
to because it wasn't called a penalty initially. So I guess more so where I'm interested in is how do you get to that point and how and you're obviously not in there in those conversations, right? Because but like how would you imagine it escalates, and I'm just using that word because that feels kind of appropriate,
Yeah.
escalates to that point, given all these things that you and I are just talking about and all the other debates that have been happening throughout, to say, yes, it is clear and obvious. We're going to overturn the original call and give a penalty at the 110th minute, too, which is something that we've also talked about on this podcast, which is like, hmm, there's a human aspect, a feel to it, right? Of like, is this a game deciding decision? And is it worthy of that? So that's the only thing. These are questions.
No.
I was like, wait, what is happening here?
And I like how you like rephrase it back to me because then really quickly my brain went to, okay, there's two things that would sell you. So like looking at the VAR probably and knowing and feeling, they'll probably sit there and they're like, ah, that does not look good, right? Like you got an attacker who's streaking one-on-one with the ball in the attacking third, no defender in front of him, and then all of a sudden falls by potential contact on that defender. It feels not fair, I think is a way to say it. Not saying that that's the decision, but I think that's where that feeling from that VAR, and I don't know I don't know the VAR, didn't talk to the VAR, and even if I did,
Right.
I probably wouldn't be able, I wouldn't say it here, but like I can tell you I did talk to them, but like that is where my speculation would go, is that they had that feeling of saying like someone got sniped, right? Like he went down. Like, why did he go down? And was that fair? Was that not fair in that final attacking third? I think that's what ended up pushing them into that route. If it just felt like, okay, that was really, really like, but for that contact, would the guy have fallen? Right.
Right.
And I think that's the trajectory and path they went down, as opposed to maybe deciphering it. Whereas where we want the preferred decision is to like, who initiated the contact and was it an unfair space for that defender to be in? I think that's the
Yeah.
easiest way to look at it, right? Separated
Hmm.
into who initiated the contact. The attacker initiated the contact on the defender, not the defender on the attacker, right?
Right.
And is the defender allowed to be in that space? They're not stepping into a space to create a block, right? They're not, they're not stepping into something like just a very natural space, an expected space, and there's no other space he could be except for that space that he was in. So I think
Yeah.
when you clean it up that quickly, because you got to take these two principles and then apply them to other situations that happen, right? When someone's coming across, the six, when someone's dribbling in and there's another defender off the beat path, right? And the person's coming into it.
Hmm.
Who initiated contact and were they allowed to be in that space in the first place? I
Hmm.
think that's the most simplified way to look at it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Fair. I mean,
And then yeah, that extra layer. I mean, it's not part of the laws of the game, but it's where it was so frustrating because there was a certain period of time. I came back from my baby in like 2006, and a lot of the philosophy and application changed to trying to be more black and white in refereeing instead of the grays where it's like subjective. So they're like, when you see it, it's more simple to call it than to not call it. And I'm like, huh. And I was like, I guess because they were trying to take a lot of the subjective elements out of it. Because like what I think is a foul is probably different from someone else. So they're trying to keep the consistency. But by doing that and training people, I think they went to that extreme. And they meaning like all of, for the most part, the majority of like kind of FIFA, and definitely here in North America training, because that's where we were getting our professional training from on the weekend basis. It was creating little mini robots who weren't feeling the game. And
yeah.
that is the biggest success factor of a referee, right? When we talk about the Simon Marciniaks who've done the World Cup and UEFA, qualifiers, right?
Hmm.
Where, some people might not like him, but like, Mark Geiger, what made him very successful in FIFA is that he could feel the elements. So he knew when to call something and not to call something, like to your point, in the 102-minute, like, do you call that or do you not? Like you can feel, and people are expecting that from the collective football society. So I get it. I get it. But at the same time, that element does come through, and I think that's the difference between a great referee and an incredible referee, is one of
Yeah.
those who can feel it and see it, and it's not going to be, by calling it black and white, you are now the talking point. And I'm not saying that's what you base yourself on, it's just that's what football understanding I think is.
Yeah.
um
I just have one follow up, and not just to
yeah.
continue on about this one
Oh
play,
no,
but
this will be like the highest segment, it always is, and this is
okay.
why I have job
What
security.
is what are the conversations now that that game's
Yeah.
over? Obviously, there's tons of talk around the footballing world about that call. And then now, what are the internal conversations happening from your all standpoint, from the referee standpoint?
Yeah, I mean that goes immediately into, trust me, the referee world is such a weird world where like as soon as something wrong happens, like everyone knows about it instantly. Like
Hmm.
text messages, it's like it's a very kind of a weird toxic world where it's like no one message each other like, hey, so and so had a great game, yeah, like high fives, right? Everyone
Right.
just talks about like the bad decision, right? And let's say one person had one bad decision in 90 minutes, like maybe it's where, oh god, I forgot who was talking about it. It might have been like Kelly O'Hara or someone, and like Midge, about like attackers don't do anything and they score that one goal and it's like that glory goal and like they're the saviors of the
Yeah.
game. And like Kelly was like, and we defend the whole time and no one ever talks about us. Kind of the same thing for the referee standpoint, right? Like those, it's like it goes like wildfire in the referee community. All they can talk about is like, oh, how wrong of a decision that was, or I take this position, and immediately it's like, which side are you on, and is this clear and obvious? And everyone just, all these informal channels go off, and then the formal channels like kind of go off and say like, okay, could you imagine, having to pick up the phone call on Monday? Trust me, they're probably picking up the phone call like immediately, having to manage some of that stuff,
Yeah.
because then it comes down to like, all right, once again, like I was talking to Ted earlier today, and I said like, I understand why everyone's confused, like why pundits are confused, why producers are confused, why everyone's confused, because they're like, you literally had two trained people who gave this decision even after video review, even after millions of dollars, and now you're telling me on Monday morning that that was the completely wrong decision. Like, then everyone's like, what is it, right? Like,
Yeah.
what's going to happen to these referees? Like, are they going to get punished? That's always the word. Are they going to get punished? So
And
from
no, I'm not
like,
looking for punish.
yeah,
It's more like
yeah,
my question is like it'd be the same, when we review video as players. It's like, what
yeah,
are the internal conversations? I don't feel anybody should be punished. It stinks.
yeah.
It's a tough situation that everybody's in, and I also understand the pressure in those moments too. It's
Oh, I think
more,
you're level-headed though, because I promise you, 9 out of 10 people are like, "What's the punishment?" But I think to your point, I always go back to no, what's the education? Because you're not going to throw, you're not going to throw a national team player out of the pool, right? Just because they had a,
well, that's what I'm saying. Yeah, if you
they
really look
crossed the
at it
ball,
as
like yeah, unforced turnover, yeah,
yeah, as level-headed, like that is the growth of a player. That's the growth of a referee. You learn from your mistakes.
it's
It's
growth
tough
of a
because,
coach.
yeah,
Hmm.
everybody. Um, and that's the tough part is because, yes, this is a huge 3 points that a team misses out on. However, um, it's no different than if you're scoring an own goal and your team loses or something and you've put yourself, whatever, right? Like we can make up any scenarios. My point is, it's not always just about like, what's the punishment? It's
Yeah.
more like, okay,
What's
how
the
do you grow?
education?
Yes. How do you educate? And
Yeah, they do weekly, at least PRO. I know does weekly training segments. Well, they'll take clips and they won't tell us the answers right away. They'll say, here are the 3 or 4 clips that happen over this weekend. MLS, NWSL, and USL Super League, right, or the Gamebridge Super League. They'll take clips from that, and then all the referees go in and they vote on what the decision should have been. And you can even hear the audio, you can see the video. Like to your point, you're doing your video clip analysis. You're listening to it. Everyone's voting on it. Let's say that's like Monday, and I think like Tuesday or Wednesday, somewhere in midweek, they come back with what the answer is supposed to be, right? Like, and you can see the
yep.
polls results. And from like the educator standpoint of like pros education, they're saying, oh, like let's say 80% say it's no penalty and like 5% say it's penalty, right? They're going to go to the people that said penalty and be like, clearly you're like off, like on your own island and referee island.
Hmm.
Um, as opposed to if, let's say, they're like, we don't want a penalty, but 90% think it's a penalty, then the educators have to be like, okay, how do we get the 90% onto the fact that it's not a penalty, right? So
Yeah.
there is clip analysis. I do like the polls. I think the polls are helpful because it really helps see where your staff, your employees, for lack of a better term, where
Hmm.
they are mentally, and then where you have to refine on the education. And then that Wednesday goes into the answer, the education, and if it's really need be, then they'll do like a Zoom call and say, and then give video clip examples. Like, right, this one we don't want. Now here are other similar clips, and here's, like I said, broken down into two, right? What was the defender's movement, and then did they have right in that space, right? They'll
Yeah.
simplify that to just give and try to get everybody on the same page quickly. But that's the beauty of technology nowadays, right? You can throw up, and they're all, at least in the Major League Soccer, they're all full-time employees, except for some of those that are trialists at the moment. But like, you can immediately, call them to action for training and development
Yeah.
immediately because they're full-time employees.
Yeah.
So, yeah, yeah.
Yeah. No, it
So
makes complete sense.
yeah, and I can't wait for, honestly, the NWSL and the Super League referees to become full time as well too. They're not.
Yeah.
They still get a lot of training. They're in a certain tier, but I can tell you the amount of education, training, requirements, meetings you have to go to, and you're not compensated for it. It's gotten better over the past 5 years, but it's still not there. And so that's kind of where, like, for MLS referees, I'm like, you guys are full time. You guys are being paid. properly, right? Like, let's get on it. Like, that's fine. You guys can get educated in that respect. For me, it's like we're still building and growing our referee pool, because you can't just put someone into a full-time position, right, who's not qualified yet. So we just got to increase that number.
Yeah,
But
no, absolutely.
thank you for asking the level-headed question.
I need to know.
I know, and this is like more anytime I get called onto like TV or whatever, they're like, quick, you got 15 seconds to break this down. I'm like, well, that's fun. So we don't get to ask these questions. I do like it when I'm live on call and we can bounce off of each other. So that's very hard to do when I'm on a Zoom. But when I'm live in person, you know, I've done it before, right? Like, I remember the Euros, the women's Euros for ESPN. We just stared at each other, just had that conversation. Like, I could see in your eyes, like you were still confused by my answer. I'm like ask that question. Yeah.
What's happening?
Or you had a question on my answer. So it was like, if you're doing that, then yes. Oh my God, I love it. Hello. I have a meeting with you tomorrow morning, by the way. I just got a reminder.
Yes, we do have a meeting tomorrow morning.
Wait, hold on. Now I'm jealous. You have secret meetings?
We have secret meetings.
What's it about? I do feel like major FOMO.
Just about the goalkeeping ecosystem in our country and how we're going to work together to change it.
Okay, even better.
I love it. Like, Lori, thank you for asking, Lori. It's the funniest. Like, Lori will ask me questions and I'm like, I'm doing financials for my club. And she's like, well, that sounds boring. Like, Lori's like, what are you doing, Jill? World domination on the goalkeeper side. That's what we're doing.
No,
World domination.
I love that. You're already a world dominator though when it comes to goalkeepers. So now you're just spreading the wealth of knowledge.
How was
By the way,
Oracle game?
Oh,
it was
yeah.
amazing.
It looked
It
amazing.
was great.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was very cool. Loads of people, like just a thrill.
Yeah.
And you know, Jill, or all three of us, but I feel like the best part about it was you're just like live in the midst of it. And when was it? In the WPS when I played for Philly and we played San Jose in the final. And there was like 3,000 fans and it was like a start time of 11 o'clock.
Yeah.
So you're just kind of like, whoa, we're old. And also the game has grown so much.
Yeah.
and just everybody behind the scenes has done so much work for years and years. And then this is what happens, right? 40,000 plus in this baseball stadium. And beautiful day. I mean, it was like everything was perfect.
Yeah.
And I got to see Danielle. I got to see Allie and Brandy, obviously. So and just how much they've been a part of that team. In the organization. So a really special moment. It was very cool.
Yeah, cool. Savor it.
Hi. Also, I missed you today because I was at Vista and I missed you.
Oh, you were Vista?
Oh, were you calling games, Jill?
Yeah, she was there and I flew in and out the same day for MLS.
Oh, we missed each other.
Yeah.
What were you calling?
I had 3 games this weekend. So on Sunday I had Seattle and
Houston.
Yeah, thanks.
It's okay. You should ask Lori what game she had during the summer. She couldn't remember either.
Hey, you guys won this weekend, your first game? Oh. Maria, that was false information.
Yeah, what do you do?
You lost?
We lost 2-0.
Oh,
Bro.
no.
2-1, 2-1. I was in the Bucks game, like yelling at my
Is
phone.
Maria right there too?
Yeah, she is.
Maria,
get her on the
Maria, are you in? Hey.
Oh my God. Just join in the chat, Maria. Come on over.
Just jump on in. We got 2 peoples. She's like, what's going on? No, unfortunately, we lost 2-1.
I cut you off. Yeah, sorry.
No, it's fine. We lost 2-1. Brooklyn has our number. We've never beaten Brooklyn. And that's even with me signing Mackenzie Pluck, who always scored against us. I know.
What?
Yeah, we got Mackenzie Pluck a couple weeks ago. I wasn't able to
I
tell
liked
you
her
on
a
the
lot,
thing because
yeah.
like things were working out. Yeah, the girl's got grit, man. Like
Yeah, she was
mentally,
fun to-
like she's
she
good
was-
peeps.
Fun to call games when she was at Duke, so good for her.
Yeah. So she's here. So unfortunately, no. But you know what? Sun always rises. It's another day. As I say that, and Florida's been pouring torrential rain all weekend. That you guys probably.
Oh. Yeah,
Sun
it
does
did
not
rain this
rise.
weekend.
Yeah, Jill, like it was not a good weekend for my teams. My team lost. The Bucks lost. It was my first NFL ever experience in stadium, which was an interesting thing to tell Darcy Glazier that in person. I was like, I've only been here for international soccer games.
Yeah.
And then what was the third thing? Oh, I blocked it out. Leeds lost like 5-0 to Arsenal.
Oh, yeah, they got their butts
Yeah.
kicked.
And that was before Ezzy joined. So I was like, We'll see about that.
Well,
Anywho,
well, Jill, you can see how everything here is very chill and like we just talk and pretend like we're not even like people are going to be listening in. So it's very chill, but we're thrilled to have you on. And we've
thrilled.
been trying to get you on for so long, but obviously you're a busy woman, and rightfully so. But listen, for the listeners who might not know everything, all the ins and outs and what you do, you are a world dominator when it comes to many things, but specifically goalkeepers. So can you just like give us a background on like what you're doing these days with TKI, also calling games, but really the driving force, because I know a lot of this and
Yeah.
have over the years, but the driving force behind TKI as well.
Yeah, so when I was on the national team, well, first of all, I'm from like a small town in New Jersey where we didn't really have goalkeeper training, and I never got goalkeeper training until I was in college, and I only got recruited by 2 colleges. That was it. And when I got to college was the first time I had a goalkeeper coach, and he invested in me, educated me, and empowered me, and that was like kind of where my career really took off. And I kind of attribute all of my success back to that relationship with that coach because it spurred on a lot of curiosity and also just looking at the position in a different way. And because I did well in college, I got drafted. I played professionally, and I got to work with Hope and Paul Rogers, who was the national team goalkeeper coach at the time. And I learned so much and was pushed and was really challenged and saw the heights of my potential, I think, once I was exposed to high-level goalkeeper coaching. So, when I was on the national team, I used to tell Paul, I was like, yeah, I want Hope's job, kind of, but like, I really want your job. And I fell in love with coaching because, I don't know, there was something about empowering other people to do incredible things and more about others than it is yourself. Because, Lori, you're like, when you're playing, you're thinking about every single little detail that you can take care of to give you that a competitive advantage. And it's all about you. And it's like, it can be really lonely at times, but there was something about education and development that really lit me up. Like it was a different spark. So when I was still on the national team, I started at the Keeper Institute, and I grew it with a desire to just change the landscape of goalkeeping in South Jersey, because that's where I'm from, and there wasn't a lot of resources for goalkeepers in South Jersey. It's all like very far away in North Jersey. So started it, opened up an indoor facility. Maria and I have been nurturing this company since 2013, and now we have a national brand, and we get to help develop the entire ecosystem of goalkeeping, not just goalkeepers, but coaches as well. We have our own coaching courses, and we have this like desire to completely change the landscape of goalkeeping, because a lot of people have a very traditional way of viewing it.
Yeah.
And by desire, like she not just says it, but she does it. Like I was like, okay, I need a goalkeeper coach, right? So obviously I ran off to Jill in year 1. I'm like, I want to hire you.
Jill's like, no, I don't have time.
She's just like, yeah, you can't afford me. I'm like, okay, true. Hey, I figured I'd ask. What's the worst thing she'd say was no, which she did. But when I shot my shot, like girls got like biggest advocate for all of you guys out there, right? Like the network she's developed, the people she's met, like that's the biggest thing is when you have someone advocating for you in a room and you don't even know they're advocating for you, like this is your person. So yeah, obviously got our first goalkeeper, Katie Ellie. Shout out to her, incredible person, incredible goalkeeper coach. And now we have Tristan, right, as it, and all of these names, and it's so easy to go and be like, Jill, help, right? Like, because at the end of the day, like if you don't know, you don't know, right? And so it's like going into an ecosystem and saying like, who do you got? How's this work? How can we develop? Like, this is our current, and I love Tristan right now, our goalkeeper coach here, because it's like she played in the NWSL, right? So she's a professional athlete in the NWSL who's now transitioned to the coaching side of it, and now like my heart's happy because this is the whole point. We're here, and it's to Jill and her team over there at TKI. So thankful for all the work you're doing. This is why we're doing world domination.
Exactly.
Yeah, I was like, hey, you got a brand, I got a brand. Let's combine it. Let's blow it up. Let's do some cool stuff. And it is the most tabooed position in young girls soccer. Like my daughter went in and like I'll send it to you, just my little daughter. She's like has goalkeeper clubs, and thankfully they were playing against a team that couldn't get the ball across the halfway line because she didn't know what she was doing. But it is the most tabooed position. Every parent's like, I don't want my kid in a goalkeeper. I don't want. It's like, so now you're creating all these young girls who are saying, I don't want to be a goalkeeper. I don't want to be a goalkeeper because their parents told them they don't want to be a goalkeeper. We don't say that to the boys.
Well, I think it's because it's under-resourced, and they know that they're not going to get the support that they need, and they know there's such an immense amount of pressure on goalkeepers these days to perform, even at age 8. And if you aren't given the tools and the education, how can you compete and do well in something where you have no experience. And also, it's kind of scary when you're young. Like someone's running at you 1v1, you're like, what do? I don't want to
They're
get
just
hurt.
shooting at you, and
Yeah,
you're supposed to, like,
exactly.
block at shots. I was like,
Right.
no, thanks.
Yeah, I know. Like if I was an 8-year-old and I didn't really have a goalkeeper coach, I kind of, in this day and age, would rethink if I really wanted to be a goalkeeper or not.
Let alone play soccer.
Yeah,
Well, I
exactly.
told Tony Miele this recently. I was like, I wanted to play goalkeeper because I wanted the mullet like him and just to wear the gloves. And then as soon as my brother would start shooting on me in our goal in the backyard, I was like, cut it out. Stop hitting it so hard. It's
Yep.
like, again, that's like complete opposite of what's happening. I do feel like, and correct me if I'm wrong though, I do feel like goalkeeping is it is the position that's transformed the most over the years. The evolution of the actual goalkeeper and having to use your feet, becoming an actual part of the 11 on the field compared to what it used to be looked at. Would you agree with that? And then if that's the case, can you talk about how you feel like it has evolved the most?
Yeah, I mean, it certainly has evolved the most. I mean, we're asked to do so much more. So if you think about American goalkeeping, our history, we've always had the best. We had Brandon Scurry for a decade. We had Hope Solo for a decade, and then we had Alyssa Nair. And essentially, those three goalkeepers have really commandeered all the minutes for U.S. women's national team. And they have been known for their incredible shot stopping, right? And I think that era of goalkeeping is over because the game has just asking different questions and asking different problems for goalkeepers to solve way more than just shot stopping. And I think more than ever, we're seeing goalkeepers being asked to prevent shots more often. And, you know, you watch Ann-Katrin Berger for Gotham and for Germany, she plays an extremely high vertical position. She is very elite at being able to protect the goal area. So crosses, she comes out really far on crosses and through traffic, but she's also fantastic with the ball at her feet. So in order to be able to facilitate that type of goalkeeping, you have to understand the game really well, and you have to have a multitude of range of capabilities. And I think what has transpired within our country, at least, is we had the most athletic goalkeepers. We always had the best athletes, and they were the best shot stoppers. But the position has evolved so much, and I think our coaching really hasn't evolved that much. And that's why we're seeing goalkeepers where they're really good at this one thing, but maybe need to more support in all the peripheral edges of the position and how it's evolved. And so I think that we're going to see more complete goalkeepers in the next 5 to 10 years as we continue to develop the coaches to help facilitate those types of goalkeepers. But yeah, we're certainly in a transition, and I think we're also just a little bit behind some of the other countries in terms of goalkeeping structure and environments and ecosystems.
And why is that though? In terms of other, just because that actually kind of surprises me that the other countries have evolved their goalkeeping coaching. I would say, not that I don't think that that's the case, but I do feel like, you know, we can get stuck in our own ways. So it's just that is surprising to me.
Yeah, I mean, I think England has really developed a strong system, process, philosophy that is kind of from the top all the way down to, you know, the goalkeeper coaches working with the youngest age groups. There's a philosophy and there's a theory behind what they're doing. And I think that kind of started with the DNA, the England DNA.
Yeah.
And I think that that's something that the U.S. is trying to change right now by hiring, you know, Jack Robinson as the head of goalkeeping. It's the first full-time position outside of each women's and national team full-time coaches that we've had. And I think that's kind of one of his main objectives is to unify and find an alignment in like who we are as goalkeepers in the U.S. And I think it's hard. We have such a big country and we have different ideas on how to implement our training environments. And there needs to be a lot more education and alignment around education, both, you know, through our licensing and, you know, in alignment with how we train goalkeepers within the youth model.
What is that youth model? Because funny enough, somebody had just come to me and they said they wanted their young son to be trained, right? So it's been great because we're able to use our resources and facilities here to do so. But like, what's missing in the youth model that you could identify with, that you've identified and are working on fixing?
Yeah, I mean, for me, like when we started the Keeper Institute, it was just me and Maria. And, you know, it was, how can we change the landscape of goalkeeping in South Jersey? And I think we did really well, just her and I, doing that. But we realized that we had a greater platform. And the only way that we were going to influence more goalkeepers to help them develop into more autonomous, brave, effective problem solvers was to pour more time into our coach education and to really develop the pool of goalkeeper coaches that we had at TKI, because the more we educated the coaches, the further reach that they would have to be able to help impact the goalkeeping in our country. And so to me, what we did was we came up with, our own coaching course with like our philosophy that was based in science. To me, that's like the most important part, is like, we can't just train goalkeepers because that's how we were trained. If you say like, I train this way because that's the way I was taught, to me, that's not a good enough answer. Because what if there's another philosophy out there that's way better than what you've done? Just getting to the highest level doesn't mean that that was actually an effective way to produce a goalkeeper, right? So everything that we do is based on, using science as a tool to help us understand. So like, my son is 5 and he's going into kindergarten and he just finished pre-K 4, right? His teacher in pre-K 4 had a master's for pre-K 4. Yeah. She has her master's. And they learned about bugs and they learned about boxes and they learned, ABCs. Lori, you don't need to get your master's to know your ABCs, right? But you might need your master's to teach kids what they need to learn. Like, you know how to spell whatever, most words, right?
Yep. We hope.
Yes. But to be able to break that down into building blocks to help players and kids learn how to ultimately do that on their own, that's why people go to college for that. That's why people have their masters, in order to learn how to teach. And I think that that's one of the things that we're missing in our country, is like, well, what's our philosophy of how to teach based on? And it's typically just based on, well, I learned that way, so I'm going to teach that way. But we, I became the goalkeeper coach at Sky Blue as soon as I was done playing, and quickly learned that I had no flipping idea what I was doing. And we drafted Kaylin Sheridan, and she, to me, was like, when I saw her, I was like, you could be one of the best goalkeepers in the world. And I trained her, all season, and we gave up like 51 goals that year, and she was bad. And I thought to myself, why isn't what we're doing in training translating to the games? And I started to do this like deep dive on like education and motor control and learning about ecological dynamics and just different ways to teach the how of teaching, and realized that like what I was doing would never translate because it wasn't representative of what she would do in games. It wasn't representative of the problems that she would face in games. So basically it was like she was learning only in the games because my training sessions weren't in alignment with like facilitating that learning within the game. So yeah, that was what started our journey of being better educators. And we have principles in place of how we design sessions. So, you might come to a session and I'm running one and Maria's running another, and we are completely different in terms of our temperament and the way we deliver things. But there's principles underlying that are all the same, and that you would see, like, scaling a session from what it looks like in the game to how do I solve pressure in training, and how can I create an environment where players are encouraged to problem solve this on their own, while I guide and support them through it,
How are you, not that everything has to be measured, right? But that would be something. So how are you able to say like, yep, I mean, obviously Kaylin now, after working with you for a gazillion years too, but like is one of the best goalkeepers in the world. And so how are you able to measure, or how are you able to see how the goalkeepers are progressing in this manner?
Yes, it is a great question. I don't have any empirical data to be able to show you, but what I do have is players that are curious, players that are, hey, this situation happened in the game. I saw this, so I did this, and it didn't work. Can you help me? Yeah. Players that walk through the door and are like, I need help in phase 2 1v1s because my timing is off. Players that like deeply understand the game, deeply understand themselves, and that are so encouraged, like, and resilient. To me, like, those are the wins, is that they're more curious about the game and themselves, that they're braver to try things, they're becoming more confident, and they're like excited to come back. They're excited to try again. They're excited to explore. Like, those are all like the, I guess, like KPIs for us at TKI. Like, because if you have those things, you're going to get better, because you're going to be like, okay, well, I'm struggling to solve pressure in possession. I'm going to go watch Mandy McGlynn and be really, really intentional about watching how she solves pressure. And I'm going to be watching Ederson, and I'm going to be watching Kaylin Sheridan, and players go home. And now it's not about me as the coach. This is all player driven. It's player centric. It's player led. So I don't have to be like, hey, did you do your homework? No, they're like super inspired to go home and like be curious on their own. And I think that ultimately, you know, at TCAI, we don't just work with pros. We work with 8-year-olds, 9-year-olds, 13-year-olds that maybe will play in high school, maybe play in college. But you know what? The bravery that they exude to try things in a vulnerable position in training is the same bravery that they're going to use when they go ask their boss for a raise, or they go in and, you know, maybe tell their parents, like, here's my partner, or that they make a hard decision in what school they're going to go to, or whatever it might be. But that bravery is the same bravery that they can tap into. And to us, like, building character is ultimately the goal in this whole thing.
Yeah, that's
It's like I'm like snapping over here.
Yeah.
But
Well,
only my
no, I
staff
mean-
can hear me, and they're like, "What is she snapping for?"
Yeah,
I
I
can't
would
hear
say-
Jill preaching.
Yeah, I would just say, Joe, that's exactly how we were, right? With
Yeah.
the national team, you're asking questions, you're watching videos of others that you feel like are good or excellent at the areas that you want to improve. So all of those things, and feel like that's even more important in this day and age when you can be dragged so many different ways. So yeah, no, I love that, and I think that's better than having any sort of data.
Yeah.
It's like, oh, here we go, right? It's just about that's the lifelong learning.
Yeah. And I think rising tides raises all ships, right? So let's say you both come in and you train at TCAI and you feel super inspired and you're raising your level. The people around you are going to also be like, wow, like Lori and Christina really upped their game. I got to up my game too. And it encourages and nudges other people to be better, or coaches that are just like, wow, there's something special going on there. I'm not really sure what it is, but I'm curious and I want to know more and I want to try these things. And people just start thinking about different ways to tackle these problems rather than just the traditional way in which they've always done.
Yeah.
Oh, I think you hit two things. Like I always tell people, I'm like, you know, when people are trying to convince someone or educate or preach, for lack of a better term, right? Like don't say it, like do it, like exude some kind of like that's what I'm a big believer of energy, right? Because then to your point, people are gonna be like, what's going on over there? Like, why is that person happy? Like, you know, why is that person like good in synergetic value or excelling, right, at a position? What are they doing that's different? And like the second point I wanted to pull out from what you said is like everybody needs a coach. Everybody needs a coach, right? Whether you're a player, whether you're at the highest level of your game, like, you know, like Caitlin Sheridan, or you're just starting out and you're a 5-year-old kid and you have no idea what you're doing. It's the same thing as you hit in like the real world. Like I myself have mentors, I have coaches, I have people, because like I don't know what I'm doing all the time. And hey, if I master something, guess what? There's somebody else who knows how I can take it to the other level. So I love that you guys do that and you connect those dots, because you invest in the now just to kind of get those habits, those trainings, that mentality, the higher level performance mindset of an athlete from on the field to off the field as well. And this is why we're doing world domination, Lori. You can jump on the call as well too. But
I need to be on. I told you I had Thomas. So
I love it. It's so fun and it's easy when you got like people now finally in the sport that played the game. And I'm a huge believer, Foudy hit it on the head last week in the podcast. It's just like, you guys go get paid on this stuff, right? Like, don't let this sport build the profitability finally on the backs of people who were the foundations of it, right? You guys are alive, you guys are well, you guys are young still. Like, turn it into business, because yeah, I know we're all aging. I actually went and just like looked on Wikipedia to see if you played in the in WUSA, because we can't name everyone yet who's played in both WUSA, WPS, and NWSL. I know you played WPS and NWSL, but Lori is the only person I know. Who else did you mention, Lori? Like anyone else?
Boxy
Boxy.
I do think Hope was one of them as
Wait,
well.
did Abby? Didn't Abby play?
And Abby was, yep.
Yeah.
We did.
Heather Mitz?
Mitty.
No, Mitzi didn't play in WSL, I'm pretty
No.
sure.
Off to go Google.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, that's right. She finished in WPS era. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, like Atlanta or something?
Yeah, probably. Probably. Goodness gracious, all of us.
I know, we're looking at you.
Everybody, the sport has grown.
Yeah.
Oh, it's grown. Mitz taught me a good lesson. I don't think I've told anyone this publicly before. So it was Marta. I remember it was at Atlanta B at wherever that place was, at college. And Marta's coming down the left flank. I think it was like one of my first TV games as like a pro referee. And Heather comes in 2-foot stud and just takes out Marta at the ankles. And I'm sitting here like sprinting, thinking this is a red card, whatever. No one's yelling. No one's screaming. No one's like trying to kill me. And I'm like, okay, maybe it wasn't a red card. So I ended up giving Heather Mitts a yellow card because she was hugging Marta at the same time, like apologizing and hugging her, and no one was screaming. And I was like,
funny.
I'm the only one who thinks this is a red card. So I ended up giving her a yellow card, right? And Marta doesn't even yell at me then either. And we go on, and I like completely failed that assessment because I didn't give Heather Mitts a red card. And they're like, why didn't you give Heather a red card? I was like, well, she apologized to Marta. Marta accepted the hug, and no one was yelling at me. They're like, that is not why you make a decision.
Hold on. Like I said, on cue, the game has grown.
And I've never made a decision based on reaction ever again.
I'm like, appeal for everything. Appeal for everything.
It's not a bad theory. It's
Look at
not a
that.
bad theory.
That's my favorite. Oh,
You might get a rookie referee like me.
No, but that is so funny. It's like, wait, you just took my ankles out. Okay, let's hug.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, it was the weirdest experience of my life. I could tell you that. It was like top 10 easily.
Nobody can be mad at Mitzi. That's what it comes down to.
That's so sweet. Okay, I have one more question though. So, given all of the stuff that you're doing, TKI, you and Maria are building, what is like what's the grand plan in a lot of ways, or is it feeling fulfilled already? And like, it doesn't feel like it needs to like take off even more, right? Sometimes we get in that headspace. So, or does it? Like, what is the overall arching thought process on that?
It's something we probably talk about once a week, in terms of like reshaping the identity. And like, I mean, probably at least 50 times this summer, people were like, hey, you guys should franchise TKI into insert town here in whatever state across the country. And, you know, Maria and I are very adamant of the fact that like, we can't just like franchise it out because it's not really about the company. It's about the people. And we just really want to continue to pour into the coach education. Like, I'm super passionate about the coach education because I think that's how we make the greatest impact. And we started a coaching college, which is a job opportunity here at TKI, for people who are younger coaches or just like goalkeeper coaches in college or goalkeepers in college that are wanting to transition to coaching. Because if we feel like we can get to those coaches early on before they become very stuck in their ways in the traditional sense, that we can make the biggest impact. And obviously younger coaches still have like 25 plus years in the tank of like coaching left to do. So we're super passionate about continuing that project and investing into the next generation of coaches.
Yay.
I feel like we can also have like a whole other episode about all of the penalty kicks that were taken this summer.
Yeah.
Question, Jill. If you had the water bottle on the side that had all the things, would you take it and throw it in the stands? Like, I would. I'm just telling you guys straight out. I would throw it in the stands.
I probably wouldn't have been smart enough to do that, or gutsy enough to do it. Yeah, I probably would.
But if you knew, would you or would you not have?
I don't know. That's a good question. I feel like that I would have some like really internal conflict about it.
Oh, this is a good reflection of who you are as a human. I'm like, I would take that thing and throw it in 2 seconds. You're like, I got to determine whether or not it's.
I could see.
Dory, where are you? Would you throw the ball or
I
not?
have some internal conflict too, but I think it depends on the mindset that I was in, right? Because as Jill would know, there's always like a couple of versions of me. Like I would step over the field and all of a sudden I would just be like this like soccer playing Lori, very different than how I was off the field. So it depends on, and also I've had years of therapy since, so I'm a completely different person as well. So than when I was playing. However, so now maybe there's different points in time in my career that I felt like I would have done that. And I would have been like, nope, I'm seeing some red. This water bottle's gone. And then other times the exact same person, but I'd been like, had the internal conflict just like Jill. I mean, this is why we are such good friends on the national team too, because we'd also be like, I just can't do it. Like we're just gonna win out and out if we're meant to win. Like
I also just in this part of my life just don't. Can I curse on here?
Yeah.
I also just don't give a about winning anymore.
Oh, I have the same thing. It's like
I
the
just
competitive advantage is like so. I'm like,
I think there's
a professional soccer player these days.
I think there's two different camps, right, of coaching, and one is about performance and one is about development. And I am fully in the development camp. Like I really don't care. Like, you know, I'll watch all these pros games and I'll give them feedback. Like the other night, Chicago and North Carolina tied 3-3, and we work with Casey Murphy in the off season. and she gave up 3 goals. Like, typically, if you're a goalkeeper, you give up 3 goals, you're like pissed after the game. And I ran up to her. I was so happy for her because she did something that she had been working so hard in the off season to accomplish. She was working on 1v1 spread, and she freaking did it in the game. And it was so amazing. I was so happy for her. And like, to me, like, that is worth more than a win. And so, like, I literally just don't care about winning.
Yeah.
Yeah. But like, if you asked me 10 years ago, it might be different.
Okay,
Maybe
so
not.
we have established I'm
Maybe
the
not.
only evil
Jill's
one on
just
this podcast.
drinking the
Got
water.
it.
Jill's just drinking the person's water. She's like, screw you, I've got it.
And this is why I'm a Leeds fan, because I would do something like that. So I've established that.
Oh, Jill,
No.
we love you. Thank you so much.
Yeah, thanks for jumping on. We're excited
Yeah.
to have you. One of the best people in the game, Jill Loyden, national team player, WPS and NWSL as well, and changing the world TKI at a time. So let's do this.
Thanks for having me, you guys. Appreciate
Thanks,
you
Jill.
guys.
Bye, Maria.
Tell Maria hi and
She
bye.
says bye.
Tell her to message me about getting together.
Okay, we will. Yeah.
Oh, are you trying to make plans now too? Because Jill and I have plans.
Yeah, pissed.
That's
I'm like,
exactly it.
we'll show you, Uncle.
Don't share the message. Don't share the message.
All right,
Jill.
see you guys.
Okay, bye.
Bye. All right. I love her. She is such a good human being. Thank you for bringing her on.
Yeah, no, she's amazing. Dear friend, and love it. And I love that you two are collaborating. So good.
Yeah, we wanted to do it last year, and it's just like with the flurry of everything on game day 1. And then I love the fact that, that, you know, her and Tony are doing commentary and they're just bringing a whole new perspective, right? Because they can break down the rest of the game. They can do analytics. And I think that's where I appreciate, I've talked to Tony, where like he doesn't want to get pigeonholed in just the goalkeeper analysis, right? Because he's like, same thing, like I get upset when they're like, oh, you'll just do the referee thing. I'm like, I know a lot more than just refereeing. But like for
everybody has
him,
to know the game.
yeah.
Right? So.
Yeah. Like I always love listening to you when you get commentate or you guys prepare because I'm always learning from you guys. But God, it's so cool to have her perspective on games as well too, because she picks out things that like nobody's looking for because they never had to. So so I'm excited. We've talked about changing the world. I know Gainbridge has come in and they have a goalkeeper initiative forefront. I know they have Brianna Scurry as like their main advocate and voice, but it's cool hanging out with Mike Nichols at Gainbridge. I told him, I was like, how are you filling my cup? Like this is exactly what we need. So now that we have support from, you know, corporate partners as well too, focusing on goalkeepers, like I'm like, all right, let's blow up the world now. Let's do it. Pinky in the brain.
Yeah.
Well, we'll invite you, Lori, when it comes down. Just come down, hang out.
Okay.
Tampa's cool, by the way. Tampa's really cool. It's a lot different than it used to be.
We'll see. No, I'm just joking.
I know last time you were probably here, it wasn't. So 5 years ago, I never would have lived in Tampa. Now I'm like, I can see myself moving here. So,
Yes, nice.
yeah, but cool.
Okay. I have
Any
to run,
lasting
guys.
words?
So sorry.
Yeah, no worries. Lasting words. Where you at?
What'd you say? Where am I going this weekend?
Lasting words. Where you at? Where you at this weekend?
I am. Where am I? Orlando for Orlando Gotham and Pride.
right.
For Prime, and then Sunday we have a big CBS game at Washington versus Chicago. So yeah, fun weekend
Nice.
ahead. Fun
Catch
weekend ahead.
that.
Long weekend as well for everybody. The holiday, Labor Day.
Yeah.
Typically.
Oh,
So
happy Labor
what
Day.
about
Yeah,
you?
I'm feeling that. First home game for the second season on Labor Day weekend. Learning how difficult it is to move tickets on Labor Day weekend, but we'll probably get a lot of last minute signups. But
Yeah.
so cool. All right. Well, both of us are in Florida. Chances of us seeing each other are 0%.
Slim.
But
Yeah, exactly. Exactly.
but thanks for listening to Soccerish Podcast. We'll catch you guys next week. Follow us, like, subscribe, hit on YouTube. Kevin, I think I finally got it right. And we'll see you guys next week. Thank you for watching the Soccerish Podcast. You can follow us on YouTube, subscribe, and as well, follow us on social media.